Hello, artists! For today's class, we'll be doing different activities based on where artists get their ideas from. As you might remember from other videos, artists make art based on things they see, feel, remember, or imagine. They also experiment with the materials to make their art. Over the next two classes, we will be doing stations based on where artists get their ideas. If you don't finish something at a station, that is totally okay. Artists revisit work they did not finish all the time, and there will be time in future classes for you to finish your idea. We really hope you enjoyed these different activities. This video will be covering the first three stations for the first class, so come prepared next class to do the last two. Music can make us feel different ways. What if we expressed how music made us feel on paper? Here, check out my example. For class today, we will keep music playing. While you listen, think about how the music makes you feel. A fast song might make you happy, and a slow song might make you feel relaxed. How would that change the marks you're making on the paper? As you saw by my example, the music was changing constantly, so I was feeling happy and full of energy and letting my marks express that. It is okay if these works are abstract. It should represent how the music made you feel. This is a feel activity. Some artists make art based on what they feel. During class today, we'll be working together to make a map of Sun Prairie. In this activity, you will all work together making this map completely from your memory. Now, I didn't grow up in Sun Prairie, so for my example, I chose to draw my hometown. I'm from Columbus, which is just north of Sun Prairie. I lived in town and I grew up on a pretty busy intersection. So I started by drawing my house and the two roads that I knew that were right outside my windows. Growing up, I would walk to the elementary school quite a bit, so I went ahead and drew that. It was just down the street from me and was a pretty short walk to school. I then remembered that across the street was a pretty nice park. I would play on the swings there all the time growing up, so I went ahead and added it. And I couldn't forget to add Culver's. It was just a short bike ride from my house, so I went ahead and added it. Across the street from that was one of my first jobs, Pick and Save. So I thought for myself that that would be important to add. Other things I thought about adding were my aunt's house. She lived a short 5 minutes away from us, and I would go there quite a bit to hang out with her and her cat. I also thought about what sort of landmarks Columbus has. I know down the road from my aunt was the cemetery, so I drew a little picture of that, but more importantly, across the street from that was my best friend's house. So I would drive past the cemetery and then be safely at my friend's house. Other landmarks I thought about were the water tower in Columbus. It was just down the road from me and it is pretty big, so I thought that would make a good landmark to add onto my map. I then remembered that behind my house was a church, which I thought made a good final landmark to mention. I'm excited to see what you guys can show me of Sun Prairie. During class, as we rotate through the stations, we will all be adding onto this map, so it's important to share space and talk through our ideas with one another before marking the paper. Ask yourself, what important places, parks, and landmarks do you want to show on the map? This is a remember activity. Some artists choose to make art from what they remember, so please show me what you remember about Sun Prairie. Single object observation drawing. For this activity, pick an object and then draw it in your sketchbook or on drawing paper. This takes a lot of practice, so please be patient with yourself and give it your best effort. This skill takes years to master, so don't give up, just keep trying. Here I am with my drawing. I looked closely at the object and drew every detail I could. Again, this type of drawing can take some time to get the hang of, so be patient with yourself. I made my drawing with a marker so it would show up on the video, but I would like all of you to try this with pencil. This is a see activity. Some artists make art based on what they see. Some important reminders before we get started. Remember to share materials. We share this studio, and that also means we share materials with one another. We also need to respect other artists. When we work together to make art, it can be frustrating, but please use kind words and talk out problems. We want everyone to feel safe and respected in our art studio. And lastly, try your best. If you feel frustrated, don't give up. There are no wrong answers here, so if something doesn't work out the first time, you can always keep trying. Artists problem solve all the time. We want you all to try and problem solve at each station. Have fun, artists. We cannot wait to see what artwork you make today. And come prepared next class for the last 2 stations.